The late Cameron Boyce was one of Disney Channel's most promising and rising stars. Cameron began his acting career back in 2008 when he appeared in the film Mirrors, which was quite successful at the box office. He soon went on to play in the hit Disney Channel show Jessie, playing as Luke Ross. He was featured in the show up until 2015 when he starred in both Grown Ups and Grown Ups 2. He then made his debut in his arguably most memorable role as Carlos in the Descendants trilogy. Descendants was an extremely popular franchise for Disney and cast many of the film's lead actors in the spotlight and mainstream media. However, shortly after concluding his role in Descendants 2, tragedy struck for young Cameron. In July of 2019, it was reported that Cameron suffered from epilepsy, a condition which ultimately claimed his life on July 6th. Cameron was just 20 years old at the time of his passing, with his parents telling media that he passed away peacefully in his sleep. However, in the years leading up to his untimely demise, Cameron was often described as being an extremely likable individual. He certainly made an impact on modern cinema and television and left behind a legacy which won't soon be surpassed. Because of this, Cameron is rumored to have been worth more than $5 million at the peak of his career and spent some of his income on some rather unexpected items. Cameron was an avid believer in donating money to charity. In fact, he was very publicly an advocate of the Thirst Project. The Thirst Project is a non-profit that helps to bring clean, drinkable water to communities around the world who may not have access to water otherwise. Thirst Project collects funds from humble donators and uses the money to build wells and filtration systems to help individuals in these struggling communities. Cameron is known to have donated several $1,000s to the charity. After his tragic death, several of his close friends, co-stars, and even Disney themselves offered to donate a substantial amount of money to the charity in Cameron's honor. In addition to the Thirst Project, Cameron is also known to have sponsored and funded several different charities in an effort to end homelessness, having donated an undisclosed amount of money to these charities. His work continues to shine through in these charities today, and his efforts to leave the world a better place than he found it have certainly not gone unnoticed. Cameron's parents were already quite well off, even prior to their son's rise to fame. His parents did well to provide for both Cameron and his sister Maya. They often encouraged him to continue his charitable works and continue to help the world around him in every way that he could. He did decide to leave home and begin a life of his own though, deciding to move in with friends just 2 months before his passing. Upon moving in with 2 friends and co-stars, the trio are known to have spent quite a large amount of cash on their new home. Several photos were uploaded to social media detailing their new pad. Some rather expensive items can be seen in the background in many of these photos, with a specific series of photos from Cameron's birthday, showing just how extravagant their new abode really was. It goes without saying that a substantial amount of money was focused on furnishing their home even after they had to fork over some serious cash just to purchase the place. Cameron wasn't only popular due to his work with Disney, he is also known to have worked with several other large brands such as Walgreens and Burger King. Because of this, Cameron's public image was extremely important. However, he helped maintain his clean-cut appearance by spending a large amount of money on new clothing. You would be hard-pressed to find an image of Cameron in which he wasn't looking at his best, and he is repeatedly seen at red carpet events sporting some seriously expensive duds. Cameron went out of his way to look special wherever he went. In fact, he even has his own clothing line, which is still operating to this day. The funds are being donated to Cameron's charity foundation, with clothing being available for sale online, with ads commonly appearing on Instagram. Cameron further illustrated his worth, yet also his selflessness in 2017, following the graduation of a couple of his co-stars and best friends. After graduation, he paid for the 3 of them to take a vacation overseas to Cabo. They are known to have stayed in a notoriously expensive hotel, with images of his trip being available on Instagram. This trip doubled as a getaway for Cameron's birthday, with Cameron fronting the bill for the entire thing. Regrettably, one of Cameron's largest expenses before his passing was likely his treatment for epilepsy. It can be assumed that at a young age, his parents took care of these bills. However, as he grew older and found money of his own, it's expected that Cameron began to pay for this treatment on his own. Sources indicate that treatment for epilepsy begins at around $20,000. This covers the cost of initial treatment as well as surgical procedures to keep the condition under check. Following surgery, Cameron was forced to seek regular attention from his doctor to ensure that his condition never spiraled out of control. These appointments are rarely ever cheap. Though in addition to this, most epileptic patients require daily medication that can cost as much as $400 per pill, requiring 30 pills per month. That's a minimum of $12,000 per month in medications alone, not including other medical bills or expenses. Epilepsy is certainly not a cheap illness to treat, with treatment commonly costing several hundred thousands of dollars per year. It can be assumed and proven that Cameron Boyce certainly put his money to good use. It's not uncommon for celebrities to spend their millions on fancy cars, hotels, or even drugs and alcohol. Though throughout his popularity, Cameron was able to keep a level head and put his talents and earnings to good use. The impact that Cameron has left on his family and the world around him is almost unbelievable. He did so much for so many charitable organizations in such a short period of time. Following his passing, his family even helped to establish the Cameron Boyce Foundation. This foundation works to provide young individuals with certain creative outlets by showing them that there are alternatives to drugs, violence, or other forms of negativity. The foundation began its first efforts in the summer of 2019 and has received support from actors like Debbie Ryan, Karen Barr, and Sophie Reynolds. By September of 2019, the Cameron Boyce Foundation announced that it had continued Cameron's efforts in supporting the Thirst Project by donating $8,000 to clean water efforts in Uganda. Though Cameron's physical life may have met its end, his impact will continue to live on through his charitable efforts and the impact he has had on his fans for many years to come.